Healing. My name is Lee. I am a healing practitioner. I am a person. I'm going to try to do this video. This is maybe the 5th time, but I'm here to talk about self-abandonment and self-connection, two themes and spiritual lessons that are really close to my heart, embodiment, and my own spiritual path. Hi, thank you for joining. You are so welcome. If you have a question, you can write it in the comment. I'm just getting started. So this is a casual conversation, not meant to replace a one session or group healing session. I'm talking tonight about self-abandonment and self-connection. This is part of the Person-Centered Healing Tour, which is basically just a tour of things I'm passionate about as a person and healing practitioner, and also some of the things I specialize in when I work with other people. So my intention is to share some things about self-abandonment and self-connection in hopes that it can provide some presence and some naming for this in the world. And if anyone's struggling with self-abandonment, I'm here to say you're not alone. A lot of people work with this spiritual theme, and I bring it right next to self-connection because throughout my journey, I've come to see how healing is such a huge invitation to deepen our connection with ourselves. And a lot of trauma and pain and suffering, is a result of disconnection from ourselves. And I invite self-abandonment to be here, to be present, and to have a seat at the table in a gentle, invitational, loving way, because then we can explore it and get curious about it. Let's see. So I'm curious, how does self-abandonment show up for you? And maybe you already know, maybe you work with it, or maybe this is new. It could also be named disconnecting from self, or energetically vacating the body, sort of checking out, shutting down, dissociating, lots of different ways. And I think there's like a full spectrum of possibility of how self-abandonment could show up in a situation. I'll give 2 examples, which are kind of one is more intense and the other is more mellow, but it could go in between or beyond. Self-abandonment could be something like agreeing to help someone move when you actually have your own commitments set aside on your schedule for a weekend, and then you just sort of say, yes, I'll help you move, and end up just kind of abandoning your own commitments and responsibilities, and maybe having to work late, or maybe even not even reaching your own goals because you put other people's needs before your own. Another example could be, which I think is more intense, experiencing being abandoned as an adult, perceiving, part of what you're experiencing perception-wise is that people are abandoning you. It's a really harsh one, and it could be very painful to go through that. And that will show up relationally in different ways depending upon the relationship. So it's very situational. It's really a painful way to be in the world. From my experience, it was very painful to operate under that perception. Other ways self-abandonment can show up, it's not limited to this very short list, but people-pleasing, I think, disconnecting from one's emotional and physical body, and energy body. So I'm going to say all 3. Saying yes instead of saying no, and no is your truth. I think some of the things that happen around self-abandonment are anxiety. I think not being able to be present in our emotion is sometimes not being able to be present and honest and aligned with what's true for us. And so that can result or, manifest as having weak boundaries and eventually exhaustion, avoidance, avoiding people, avoiding situations where people might ask me to do something because I might not be able to say no. So I might as well just stay away from people and avoid being asked to help if I can't say no. Confusion, and anxiety. I say anxiety because if we're not being present with our energy bodies, our energy can go in all sorts of different directions. It's not always up and out, but it can go down, it can go out and forward, it can go up and out, it can go in all sorts of different ways. It's actually pretty unlimited, the possibilities of that. But aligning, so I'll speak about the energy body and the emotional body right now. So energy system, the central chakras, the central spectrum, our aura, being aligned with our energy centers, being connected with them, having spent time with them, having a general understanding of what each one represents, and when we might need to embody certain chakras over the others. For example, I might need to be inviting myself to my lower chakras to sort of connect with that part of my energy center, sort of like a downward movement if I'm in a certain situation, especially if it's a situation that normally would cause me to come up into the higher chakras or have a frenetic, ungrounded, or anxious energy. So that kind of self-knowledge is a part of self-connection. So self-connection is knowing when we need to deepen our connection with ourselves in certain areas, and also knowing how. So connecting with the energy centers in the body, connecting with the central spectrum is a way that we connect with ourselves. It's a way that we can understand and I like to call it the energy mechanics of self-love, because to understand one's own energy body and sort of the mechanics of it, meaning I know how this engine runs. This is my engine that I have and that I live in. That's awesome. And it doesn't mean that we live perfect lives then. It just means that, if my energy body has been neglected, or, I neglect dropping down into presence and feeling for a little bit, I'm going to probably have to pull over and give myself a little bit of a tune-up, or go home early, or take a day. So I really like to think of it as mechanics, like car mechanics, not like mechanical perfection stuff, car mechanics, because it's fun. Like, to me, that's fun. That makes it fun. Emotional body, that's kind of like included in some ways in the energy body, but our bodies are so amazing. So, I can experience a sensation in my throat, and I could really uncover the emotion of fear in that area. However, in the energy body, traditionally, feelings are associated with the second chakra, which is connected to throat, speaking our truth, right? Speaking our true feelings, our true emotion, our true needs around those emotions. So those are really connected. But the emotional body is really just an infinite within your body. Like the infinity of your physical body or energy body can connect with emotions that are active in your system. And I'm learning more about how to decipher from my teacher, Gabor Mate, how to decipher between a feeling, an emotion, and a sensation or a perception. And that gets really juicy because we get to see, I'm going to say mechanics again. We can see the mechanics under which we are living and choosing and operating and perceiving and feeling. So energy and emotional body is so essential for coming back into self-connection. I think those are really, really great forever invitations for all of us. And again, I'm going to go down to the lower chakras again. So presence and feeling. When we can really be present right now and connect with what emotion we might be having, that's a beautiful thing. And it's a beautiful practice. It's not a thing, it's a practice. And it's a practice that also might require patience and might require boundaries. So I want to name that. I want to name that it's not just instantaneous clarity. Sometimes we need to wait for clarity. It's not instantaneous. And I think that there's sort of like a cooking or an inner growing that happens when we start to cultivate patience. And that's awesome as well. I mean, and humility. Humility grows, I think, when I learn to be patient with my own system and not make demands on my own system's ability to reveal my own truth to me. Because why the urgency? There is no urgency. It's I am alive and I'm moving and I'm changing, and things are always coming and going. And if you miss an opportunity to work on a wound, you know what? Chances are you're going to have another chance. So from being able to be present and from being able to connect with our emotion and name it, be with it, empowered action can come from that. And that empowered action can be based on clarity if we're willing to wait and willing to learn how to work with our systems. And, I work with Akashic Records and I do Akashic healing. So, patience is really, really enormous sometimes. I mean, we talk about multiple lifetimes and, timelines. Those are way, way more expansive, I believe, than our human brains can comprehend. So patience for me is also leaning into surrender to energies greater than me and non-physical energy. But the initial point I wanted to make is when we're able to drop into presence and be comfortable with discomfort, when we're able to drop into feeling, feel feeling, identify feeling, be able to be uncomfortable. Sometimes certain feelings are uncomfortable. Fear is very uncomfortable. Anger can be really uncomfortable, especially, we don't really cultivate a way to work with that. Grief, all of these can be very uncomfortable in the world I grew up in, for sure. So I have a few more things and then I'll close. I don't want to go on too long. Being in our bodies. So I wanted to talk about that. Self-connection, being embodied. I did another live talk named Embodied Belonging. So that was aligned with that, being in our bodies. So again, that's like slowing down is very much earth energy. Relaxing is very earth energy. When I am in my mind, when I am experiencing fear that I'm not addressing or I'm wanting to avoid or resist while I'm having it, I'm not really in my body. Usually for me, this is my energy goes up and I'm moving quickly and I'm more up here or maybe way up here. So what's beautiful about being in my body is that energy can start to flow. I can start to sense myself and again, return to my body and cultivate a sense of belonging in my body. And that takes time. I also want to name, it takes the time that it takes for each of us. So I want to name and honor each one of us has a unique path to our own truth and our own way of self-connection. For anyone working with the spiritual theme of self-abandonment, same. You have a really unique path to self-connection and you probably have really unique wants and needs around your path back to self-connection if you choose to take that path. I see self-abandonment as a really, really juicy invitation to deep self-connection. And in my opinion and my experience, there is an incredible strength and resiliency that a person who self-abandons repeatedly cultivates in themselves. So if they choose to practice coming back into self-connection, it might not be easy and it might be painful sometimes and it sure might be scary as well. I can't say what anyone's experience is going to be. I'm just naming that this is not a Pollyanna joyride. That's my point there. But the resiliency and the strength of someone who self-abandons as a survival gift. Self-abandonment is a survival gift learned at a very, very, very young age that people carry throughout their life and it doesn't work anymore and it's not even relevant anymore. When we can break through that and return to self-connection, there's such a beautiful way that a person's resiliency and strength can blossom in a new alignment. The other thing about being in our bodies or being in my body is I, at this point, after studying and learning from my teachers, intuitive healing, Akashic Records healings, and transpersonal energy healing, and now compassionate inquiry, our bodies are a vehicle for connecting with energy larger than us. Like, we're designed to heal. We're designed for connection. We're designed to heal in connection, in relationships. So, yeah, that came out. I hadn't planned really to talk about that resiliency part, but I think it needed to be said. So I hope this video makes it on my page. So I had a few questions, just to put out there as invitational offerings. You can journal them, you can take them away, you can just think about it in the moment, see what comes up. You might not have anything come up, and that's fine. So pathway of self-connection, again, it's unique for all of us. I love that. Love that there's not just like one way for everyone. Celebrating that. I'm celebrating the sacred creativity in that. I'm celebrating that we're all so unique with our soul lessons and our embodied selves. It's a beautiful, beautiful part of healing. So here are the questions. Do you have a regular practice of self-connection? It doesn't have to be formal. It doesn't have to be rigid. But what's your practice of self-connection? When do you feel connected to yourself? What do you do to connect with yourself, and how? Next question is, how do you connect with your body? How do you know when you're connected to your body? How do you know when you're not? How do you connect with your sense of wholeness? And we all receive our own pathways of returning to that sense of wholeness. And for me, it's not constant. It comes and it goes. I think one day I think I'm whole, and the next I have a whole new list of work to do. But just naming that, that the process is kind of spiraling, circling. We revisit the spiritual themes as they come up in our lives. And with self-abandonment, there's going to be a lot of opportunities, even when a person works on it a lot. What gets really juicy is once, if you have the self-abandonment spiritual theme that you work with, or even if you're about to start working on it or you're curious about it, in my experience, boundaries has been such a juicy, juicy part of it. And I've really had to do, I want to say like extra training, but it was just real life. So when we start to see how we abandon ourselves, so it can be big or it can be really small. Hi, thank you for joining. I'm going to wave at both of you. Thank you for being here. So when we start to see how we abandon ourselves and start to choose ourselves instead, which is a form of self-connection, it's a form of staying connected. So if I know I tend to self-abandon around people who are really pushy and want to push their agenda on me, or just don't really have boundaries themselves, then I'm going to notice that and create a connection with myself. And the challenge is to keep that connection when I'm around that push-pull energy. Maybe it's push-pull, or maybe it's just push. That is one of the big changes. And what changes is what has changed for me is my experience with people. So when I have began and start and continue to stay connected to myself, my relationships experience that shift as well. And so this is part of why this work is really challenging and deep sometimes, because it's not only us connecting to ourselves, it's us taking ourselves back and being with ourselves in a whole new way. And so I say that to name that. People may notice, people might not notice, people might get pissed, people might be cool with it and supportive of you. You just have to kind of find the way. And so in those slides, I want to put up those slides again at some point, the boundary slides that I had. Self-trust comes up in this process of self-connection, because when we learn and practice a deeper self-connection, trust with ourselves, and also when we're connected to ourselves, we're connected to our bodies, Our bodies are designed to heal in relationship with a power greater than ourselves and with each other. So when we're connected in that way, we can grow some space for trust. And there are moments when we are asked to trust ourselves. And then the last slide, I'm just thinking of these slides now. The last one was be with what comes in the process, which is kind of what I was saying relationally. And I wish someone had laid it out like that for me. That's why I have that there, because that's how I experience it. Like, it's not just working on not abandoning myself and self-connecting and that's it, tie the ribbon, put the box on the shelf and I'm done. It's like ongoing, and it's not only with me, it's with everything I'm connected with. So this is part of how healing is profound, and it's also how healing ourselves creates the change we want to see in the world. So I don't want anyone to abandon themselves. So how about I stop abandoning myself and live from a place of self-connection, and I can be that change that I want to see in the world. So I love Gandhi. I love that quote by him. And that's a way that I see that this is important. And people might be disappointed, and disappointment is a great spiritual lesson. So there's that. So I think that's all I have, really. I got really inspired. Thank you both for being here. This is like the 5th time I tried to make this video, so I'm hoping I can post it. I guess I'll just say a few more things. The ways that I cultivate a sense of belonging in my body is by connecting with my body and being with my body. Giving my body treats, could be a bath, taking some time when I shower and bathe to really be loving with my body when I'm washing myself. Be loving. It's not necessarily a chore. It's actually an opportunity to be connected with myself. I don't know why that came up, but it did. Just trying to be, thank you for being here. Thank you so much. Other things I do are yoga, dance, cuddling with pillows, people, blankets, clothes that I wear. I try to wear clothes that I feel connect with me on a soul level. I don't always, but I try to intentionally sometimes. And sometimes my non-physical team with my Akashic healings really encourage that for me, which is sweet and fun. So the healing process is never really done or finished, and I love that. I celebrate that. So we're all in our process. We're all on our paths, and we're here together. And I also think that this is part of the beauty of the infinite heart. So the heart is infinite. It's a pathway of infinite love and this crossroads of soul and human experience. And I also think there's something infinite about relational exchange, and especially the healing exchanges, right? Well, I guess all of them contribute to healing. You could think of it really like that, and in a really affirming way. But the infinite relational exchange, and just, how long and how far something echoes that we can't actually know. And so I'm here to name that I invite self-abandonment as a path to deeper truth and deeper self-connection. And I am willing to be curious about that. And I invite you to do the same if it feels right for you. Healing happens in relationship. I'm here for it. And I'm here to work one-on-one with people. And I have openings in my schedule, so you can check my link for all the information. I offer transpersonal energy healing, Akashic healing, intuitive healing, all sorts of stuff. And I'm available for 20-minute consultations if you want to connect first. Thank you for being here live. It means the world to me, and I hope it was supportive to you wherever you are in your life. And may all beings experience heart, peace, love, and belonging. So I hope you both have a wonderful evening. I'm going to sign off now. Thank you, everyone, for watching.